Are we overexposed or overweight China?
I'm sure that we'd love to export vast quantities of iron ore to the United States, but they've never shown any enthusiasm for buying it. So look, with all due respects to the former Secretary of State, I'm not quite sure what she meant, and I suspect that observation wasn't given the deep reflection and consideration that perhaps it should have had.
Okay, this is where we segue to...
I mean, one may make the same. I mean, to quote Hillary Backett herself, she is the one who, referring to how dependent the United States was on Chinese capital to fund the government debt, she said, how can you argue with your own banker? So I think in terms of dependency, I'm not sure that we're really, we really need to be concerned about that. Again, I suspect that was an off-the-cuff line without a lot of reflection. You've got to remember that if you want to affect any reform or any change, reform, one person's reform is another's, retrograde backslide, of course. But if you want to affect any change, you've got to persuade people they've got a problem to begin with. And this is why, I think that the path of reform has got to be first explain the problem. And that doesn't just mean put out a report. That means really explain it and expose it, and for people in my line of work, repeat yourself again and again and again. And then you've got to outline your solution and why that is the right one. One of the great mistakes that was made was when Ken Henry produced his fine tax review, ably assisted by a number of people in this room, including Heather Ridout, who I see over there. It should have been released immediately. This governments...
Like the Audit Commission?
You may very well say that, but I couldn't possibly comment. But you see, there's a lot to be said for getting reports out quickly. I mean, you see with the... Again, I'll just speak for myself. For the Strategic Review and the NBN, which is quite a controversial document, that lingered on my desk for days, literally for days, and then it was out. We got it out as quickly as possible. Looking at it from sort of 60,000 feet, looking at Australia's tax regime, you'd say that it is too tough on people earning income, i.e. the entrepreneurs, the people who are growing and driving, younger people in jobs, working hard, making money in their businesses. It's too tough on them, but is incredibly concessional to older people who have made their money. All right? And so that is all of these areas are very hard to deal with, because any change, invariably, when people receive advantages from changes in government policy, they are sometimes grateful, sometimes regarded as insufficient acknowledgement of their worth, a slight change to their detriment, and they become very angry. So that's why reform is very difficult.